There is a silent thief living in your bank account. It doesn't look like a thief. It looks like your apartment key. It looks like your commute. It looks like the skyline you take photos of to convince yourself you've made it. You work hard, climbed the ladder. You did everything the system told you to do, and yet at the end of the month, you stare at a balance that barely moves. Wondering where it all went? You aren't bad with money. You're just standing in the wrong place. If you want to understand why your six-figure salary feels like minimum wage, you need to listen closely. And if you want to stop the bleeding, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. You dig into the uncomfortable truths about money here. Let's look at a ghost story. It's about a guy named David. On paper, David is the American dream. He's 31, writes code for a tech company in San Francisco, and pulls in $122,000 a year. To most of the world, David is rich. But David lives in a shoebox built 40 years ago. It smells like old carpet and costs him $3,400 every single month. By the time the government takes its cut and the landlord takes his, David's impressive salary has evaporated. He is left with scraps. He's driving a beat-up car. He has less than $25,000 in his retirement fund, and he is exhausted. He is running on a treadmill set to a speed he can't match, terrified that if he stops, he flies off the back. And look at his friend Ryan. They went to the same school. They have the same skills. But Ryan makes $30,000 less than David. Ryan lives in Boise. He works remotely. He pays $1,400 for a place with 2 bedrooms and a garage. Ryan isn't stressed. Ryan saves nearly $2,000 a month. Ryan is buying a house. David is drowning while earning more. Ryan is getting wealthy while earning less. This isn't a glitch. It's the single most destructive force in personal finance, and nobody talks about it. It's the geography trap. We have been conditioned to believe that a dollar is a dollar. That is a lie. A dollar is a shapeshifter. Its value depends entirely on where you spend it. In a hyper-expensive coastal city, your money is weak. It is frail. Its purchasing power is strangled by an 80% markup on existence. But take that same dollar to the Midwest or the South, and it suddenly grows muscle. It becomes powerful. The difference isn't a rounding error. It is life-changing. We are talking about effective wealth doubling or tripling without you getting a single raise. But the real horror story isn't about next month's rent. It's about the next 20 years. Let's project David and Ryan into the future. They both invest what they save. David is bleeding cash just to exist. He ends up with maybe $250,000 after 2 decades. That sounds okay until you see Ryan. Ryan, the guy who made less money, sits on a pile of over $1 million. That is an $800,000 gap. That is the price of a zip code. David isn't paying for an apartment. He is burning his retirement freedom to live in a city that doesn't care about him. For a long time, we tolerated this, told ourselves we had to be in the hubs. We had to be in New York for finance, LA for film, the Bay for tech. We paid the tax because we thought we were buying a career. But the world broke in 2020, and it never went back together the same way. The gatekeepers lost their keys. Remote work is not a trend. It is the new standard for knowledge work. If you are sitting in traffic to go to a cubicle to sit on Zoom calls, you could have taken from a beach house in Vietnam or a cabin in Tennessee. You are playing a losing game. And if you are brave enough to look outside your own borders, the math becomes almost criminal. There is a class of people quietly exiting the system. They earn dollars but spend pesos, baht, or escudos. They live in Mexico City, Lisbon, or Da Nang. They slash their cost of living by 70% while keeping their U.S. salary. They aren't budgeting. They aren't skipping lattes. They are saving tens of thousands of dollars a year simply by moving their laptop to a different desk. They compress 30 years of saving into 10. They are buying their freedom while everyone else is buying overpriced cocktails. I know what you're thinking, but my friends are here. My life is here, and that is valid. Community matters. Loneliness is expensive in its own way, but you need to be honest with yourself. You need to put a price tag on your nostalgia. If living in that expensive city costs you $40,000 a year in lost savings, you have to look in the mirror and ask, is the culture, the bars, and the familiarity worth $40,000 this year? Is it worth $500,000 over a decade? Maybe it is, but for most people, they never did the math. It just stayed because leaving is scary. It's the hardest pill to swallow. Your location is an investment. If it has a negative return, it is a bad investment. You are not a tree. You have roots, yes, but you also have feet. The barriers to leaving healthcare, taxes, promotions are hurdles, not walls. They can be climbed. The cage door is open. It has been open for years. You're staying inside because it feels safe, even though it is slowly starving you. David and Ryan are on two different timelines. One leads to stress and perpetual catch-up. The other leads to ownership and options. The difference wasn't IQ. It wasn't luck. It was a map. Don't let your zip code determine your destiny. Do the math. Calculate the cost of staying, and ask yourself if you can afford to pay it. If this woke you up to the reality of your surroundings, make sure to like this video. It helps more than you know. And subscribe because we're going to keep tearing down the illusions that keep you broke. See you in the next one.